Happy Saturday morning, everybody. We are continuing our re-exploration of the 7 main energy centers, or chakras, under the lens of psychology, specifically parallel to Maslow's theory of humans' hierarchy of basic needs. So here's a little bit to read about it. Just a reminder, the 6th main energy center regionally rests around the center of the forehead and the brain area, but it's not only in the front body, it goes through, and it's associated when we're balanced in this energy center with mental clarity, deep knowing, and vision. It's our ability to trust and connect with our intuition, making our daily life choices. So according to Shai Tubali, author of the article I've been referencing this week, in comparison with Maslow's theory, the 6th chakra is about the layer of experiencing life as a space of intellectual exploration and learning. He said, without deep silence, our minds can easily reach dangerously unhealthy states of overactive and neurotic thinking. Meditation is not really a recommendation. It is a need of the human mind screaming to us from the depths of our 6th chakra. Sounds kind of dramatic, but I totally agree. We also need to attain mental order and clarity, since when our mind is foggy and chaotic, nothing in our body-mind system works right. It is therefore vital to use any method, from herbal supplementation to cognitive self-understanding, to sustain quietude and the feeling that everything is in place. For this, an essential form of mental nourishment is needed, being supported by great minds through books, teachings, podcasts, who help us get in touch with our own peak of intelligence and mental confidence. Remember that with the 7 main energy centers, there's a color frequency vibration associated. So with the third eye center, Ajna, the 6th chakra, the color is indigo, and the seed sound or bija mantra is Om. The breath technique we're going to practice might be new to some of you. It translates to bee breath. It actually sounds like kind of like the buzzing of a bee, and it's in Sanskrit Brahmari Pranayama. We're going to start with that today in just a moment. So just a reminder, while your eyes see the material world, Ajna chakras helps you look into deeper realms: intuition, clairvoyance, imagination, creativity, and visualization. So through the physical, mental, spiritual, and energetic practice today, let's open up possibilities within ourselves and see the bigger perspective of why we do things. Even sit here and listen to me talk or practice yoga. So our physical practice is going to look like ways to flip our perspective and see new angles. Yep, inversions, going upside down in various manners. So whatever level is your physical practice, there'll be something for you. So let's begin sitting up tall. You might like to elevate your pelvis on a block, a pillow, if you're feeling any tightness in the fronts of your hips that causes the knees to uncomfortably lift up like this. And then rock a little. Feel what you're sitting on and bring intention into rooting down energetically, physically. Balancing the weight on the left and the right sitting bones. Begin to lift through the center line of your body, broadening the collarbones and opening the heart space, literally feeling a little more lighthearted as you lengthen through the back of your neck, back of your skull, and up through the top of your head. And then roll the shoulders a few times with the breath. You might even like to close your eyes as you tune into the quality of your natural breathing as we start. So often we listen to the breath in its natural state to inform us of what our emotional, mental, and energetic states are. Especially if the mind is focused on the outside world, the breath helps to be a bridge into the inside world. And now do let the shoulders soften back and release down. As you find an uplift in the spine and ease in the body, begin to deepen the breath. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. A few more times, allowing your breath to become more present through various senses. As you continue to deepen the breath, close the lips and just breathe out through the nose continuously. Steady your mind's eye or your inward gaze to the area of Ajna Chakra, the third eye center, which is about between the eyebrows and slightly up towards the center of your forehead. And in that space, just keeping your focus as we begin B's breath, Brahmari. It's inhaling deeply through the nose, using the diaphragm to expand the belly, and just humming the M sound, sustaining it out. Continue several more times at your pace of breath. Deep inhales through the nose, and the M sound, sustaining it out. Tuning into the subtle vibration and even feeling it perhaps at the third eye center physically. About 3 more rounds. Finishing this last round, bring your hands to meet at your heart, bowing in as you might dedicate your practice towards something meaningful to you in light of a bigger picture and how your own practice here might also affect the world around you. Start to cultivate the warmth and steadiness of Ujjayi Pranayama, victorious breath, where you continue to close the lips, sustain the breath equally through the nose, while softly narrowing the back of your throat to create a gentle whisper. As though it were an echo of that humming sound you were creating through B's breath. Continue to listen to your breathing. Release the hands. Softly open your eyes. And let's come down into child's pose, setting the forehead to meet the earth. And if it doesn't naturally meet the ground, feel free to place your arms or a prop underneath your forehead so that it is in contact with something. You feel gentle pressure in that 6th energy center area. Allow your pelvis to drop heavily down to your feet, lengthening your lower back. And if you're not using your arms to rest your head on, do extend them forward actively so the elbows are not resting on the ground, so you can feel further stretch through the sides of your torso. as you soften the shoulder blades down the back, lengthening your neck. Now listen to the breath here. 3 more cycles of Ujjayi in child's pose. As you truthfully and kindly tune into your body and your needs in your practice, remember when it might be appropriate for you to choose to come back to this position. No matter what, I'm guiding us through the practice, taking your own moments of rest as needed. On your next in-breath, glide forward onto all fours, hands and knees, so that you parallel the shins and the knees are just under your hips. Your wrists are about 2 inches in front of the shoulders. Let's begin cat-cow or Virasana to warm up the spine. As you inhale, glide the chest forward before tilting it up, drawing the shoulder blades down in cow pose. As you exhale, contract your belly, dropping the tailbone and skull to round the back in cat pose. Nice and slow at your own pace, listening to your breath. Take a few more cycles of this, or move more organically. If you feel your body needs to move a different way, feel free. So if you might remember when we first started exploring the 7 main chakras or energy centers, we don't necessarily want to skip up to the 6th or the 7th or whatever without spending some time opening the lower chakras, especially the foundation, the root. Child's pose is helpful in that. Grounding and arriving is helpful. And then now the sacral, which is creative flow as you move at your own. And then we'll get into the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, and then focus a bit more on the third eye center. So come back to all fours and do set your wrists directly under your shoulders in a modified plank pose. Pointing the index fingers forward so they parallel each other. Rebound your weight off the floor through fingers spread flat. Now we're going to do a little retraction and protraction exercise in the shoulder blades to strengthen the serratus and the rhomboids, as well as the lats, all that help to stabilize our shoulders. So think of creating a flat back as you firm the belly, a straight line in the spine, though it is curved, and draw the shoulder blades to squeeze together as if holding a marker in between them. Then spread the shoulder blades wide apart, broadening the space between them. Let's try a few times with the breath. Inhale, sink the chest, but keep the belly lifted in line with the crown. Squeeze the shoulder blades to retract. Exhale, spread the shoulder blades apart to protract. Take another 4 or 5 cycles on your own. So really trying to isolate the movement at your shoulder blades. It helps to steady your gaze on the floor just in front of your hand so as not to turn it into cat-cow, which is a different movement. The next time you spread the shoulder blades apart, keep them there in that protraction, and even think about breathing into the area between the shoulder blades to slightly dome the upper back, not a complete rounding. Engage the lower belly and draw your sitting bones towards your rear wall as you lengthen your chest towards your front wall. Feel the natural length and curve of your neck. And from here, keeping the belly lifted, set your elbows on the floor directly underneath your shoulders, making fists with your hands or karate chop gesture so the pinky sides of your wrists are pressing into the ground firmly. Or you can choose to press your fingertips together almost like prayer position, whatever feels more stable. Gaze in front of your fingertips on the ground, keep broadening the chest, and now straighten the legs so that your feet touch in forearm plank pose. Now continue to broaden the shoulder blades, lengthen the sides of your neck. So try to gaze at a point on the ground that allows the natural curve of your neck, not collapsing the head. We've got a few more breaths here. If you'd like to add more rigor, flex the right foot just a sliver off the ground and press the heel back, trying to keep your 2 hips balanced in height. Then after that, belly still engaged, switch sides, the right foot lowers, and you flex the left foot to slightly hover off the ground. Trying not to teeter-totter the 2 ends of your hips, left and right. With both feet on the ground, take another breath or 3. extending the chest forward, broadening the shoulder blades, and lengthening the tailbone and heels back. From here, lower your knees, lower your pelvis, and parallel your forearms with your palms face down in Sphinx pose. Take a deep inhale and broaden your heart space. Draw the shoulder heads back and down, and then take a few more breaths of gently turning your head. So even a light back bend, as we touched upon in cow pose and now in Sphinx pose, gently start to help open up the heart energy center physically. And now in the neck with some mobility, touching upon the throat energy center. Lift the chin and let's take a lion's breath together. Inhale deeply, open your eyes and mouth wide and stick out your tongue, make a sound. From here, set your right ear on the ground. Place your left hand on the floor just beside your left shoulder and slide your right arm wide out to the right with a palm face down. Begin to push the floor away with your left hand so you can slowly roll over onto your right hip, opening up the front of your right shoulder and chest. Slide your right shoulder head down your back away from your neck. And then see how much weight you want to put on this side. Just feeling a good balance of stretching it and still breathing with ease. Not having to endure any pain. You might even explore stepping the left foot behind you if that feels appropriate, or wrapping the left arm behind as well. Let's take 3 more deep breaths. Broadening both collarbones, though we're leaning into the right shoulder. In our inversions today, we do want to have stability and flexibility in our shoulder areas. Start to roll onto your stomach. Set your forehead to meet the floor. Just pause. Notice anything you feel. Then place your right hand on the ground beside the right shoulder and slide your left arm wide out to the left with a palm face down. Begin to roll gently onto your left side. Slow and mindful, tuning into sensations to guide you just where to stop. Slide the left shoulder blade further down your back. Perhaps you explore stepping the right foot behind you on the ground or wrapping the right arm behind the back. Let's give it 3 more deep breaths. Unraveling any kind of tension we might carry along the neck and shoulders that might cause the shoulders to round forward. And as we open up the heart energy center space, physical space, we help to increase the capacity of our lungs. And remember to stand up tall, healthily proud. Come back to your stomach, rest your forehead on the floor, putting some weight on that 6th energy center space. Just take a deep breath. Slide your hands alongside your floating ribs to prepare for either cobra or upward facing dog for about 3 deep breaths. Firm down through the tops of your feet in either one. Hug your elbows close to your sides and focus on contracting your back just under your shoulder blades. Sliding the shoulders down as you broaden the heart space and slightly lift it up. When you decide you're finished, contract your belly as you exhale and try to slowly lift your pelvis up high. Draw your sitting bones back, coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana, our first inversion, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths if you want to already be still or shift around. What does your body need to feel more spacious and stable in this posture? Remember that there are modifications of downward dog, like setting your knees on the ground and just doing the torso and arms portion, extending the arms forward, firming the belly upward towards the spine. Or coming down onto your forearms, which is more dolphin pose for those of you that are trying to lay off your hands. So take another 2 deep breaths, finding stillness in your version of downward dog. Wrapping your outer upper arms towards the floor to broaden the shoulder blades in that slight protraction. On an inhale, raise the right leg while squaring your hips, flexing the right foot. As you exhale, bend the right knee towards your nose, rounding forward. Lightly step the right foot just inside of your right hand. Set the back knee on the floor, untuck the back toes. Make sure that your legs are as wide apart as your hips and it doesn't feel like you're trying to balance on a tightrope. Now, press your hands into the top of your right thigh, close to the hip crease, and really firm that right heel down as though it could root beyond the surface of the floor. Lift your frontal hip bones in an effort of bringing your pelvic bowl more upright, and scissor your right outer hip back, allowing the left outer hip to come forward, so hip bones are facing forward. Now feel the ground in every part of your body touching it. Press into the ground like we do with the hands in plank, and rebound and lift up through the center of your torso. Now, if your balance feels okay without having to rest your hands on your right thigh, bring your arms forward, wrap the triceps towards the floor, keep the elbows no wider than shoulders distance, and press your fingertips together. Joining your thumbs at the area of the third eye center, draw the shoulder heads back, lift the back ribs, and begin to tilt the heart towards the sky for 3 more deep breaths. And at any point, if you like using the chant, that breathing, the bee's breath, you might try it here. Feeling the vibration at the point where your thumbs meet your forehead. It is a way to help calm the mind, and the vibrations within the body are soothing for the nervous system. Now do lower your fingertips to frame your right leg, coming into half split. As you curl the right toes up to flex, draw the right thigh bone deeper into the hip socket, keeping your left hip above your left knee and your 2 hips squared forward. Engage the front muscle of your right thigh, your quadricep, and press the big toe mound of your right foot forward. Elongate both sides of your torso and neck and extend your chest forward, firming your belly up towards the spine, even though you're folding closer. About 3 more breaths. Feel the natural open space in between your chin and chest. Throat open. Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. From here, rebend the right knee, tuck the back toes, place your hands at the front of your mat, and step forward to fold, feet hips width apart. Press the ground ahead of your legs. Inhale, lift your heart, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold in. From down to the feet, inhale, circle the arms to rise, keeping your shoulders relaxed. Exhale, trace your thumbs from the center of your forehead to your heart. Inhale, sweep the space around you, standing tall. Exhale, lead with a heart as you bow in towards the earth. Press the ground of your legs. Inhale, expand the chest forward. Lower your hands to plank, and exhale, carefully lower into your vinyasa, gliding forward through Chaturanga Dandasana, Cobra or upward facing dog as you take a deep breath, legs strongly rooted. Engage your belly as you lift your pelvis back into downward facing dog. Now keep your hips squared again, and inhale, raise the left leg slowly behind you, flexing the toes down. Exhale, round forward, bending the knee towards your nose, and lightly step the left foot inside of your left hand. Lower the right knee into a kneeling lunge, separating your legs hips distance, untuck the back toes. Firm the left heel still and press your hands onto the very top of your left thigh, lifting your pelvic bowl to situate upright. Feel all of your body that's touching the ground and use it to root down and lift up. Feel the broadening of your chest. Scissoring left hip back, right hip forward, then firming the 2 hips towards your midline. Now, if you don't need the support of your hands on your front thigh, extend the arms forward, rotate triceps towards the earth, bend the elbows and keep them shoulders distance, not wider, and press your fingertips together, almost like prayer. Then begin to lift the back ribs to lengthen the lower back more consciously, bringing thumbs to meet third eye center area. Draw the shoulder heads back and float, expand your heart space up. 3 more breaths. Perhaps again, the bee breath. Carefully place your fingertips on the ground or blocks framing your left leg, half split. Flex the left toes off the ground and plug your left thigh bone deeper into the hip socket, keeping your hips squared and your right hip to stack above right knee. Flexing your left quadricep, press your big toe mound forward and actively lengthen both sides of your waist and neck as you find a slight lift in your chest, forward fold. Lift the belly towards the back in support of your lower spine, growing the spine longer as you breathe in and maybe folding deeper as you breathe out. For 2 more breaths here in Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. Rebending the left knee, crawl the hands forward, tuck the back toes, and step the right foot hips distance from the left, forward fold. Inhale, lift the heart, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold in. Rooting through the feet, inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, your hands to the third eye center, then the heart center. Surya Namaskar A, 2 rounds, continuous flow. I invite you to play with any moments you can to close your eyes and feel the movement from the inside, just when you feel safe. Here we go. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway, plant the hands. Either step to plank and lower or float to chaturanga. Breathe into cobra or upward facing. Breathe out to downward facing and hold for 3 to 5 breaths. Really come to stillness here. So that allows you to tune into subtleties of thoughts, of breath, and sensations. Do you hear your breath? Your knees look forward, and at the end of the exhale, lightly land at the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise tall. Gaze up. Exhale, down to the heart center. 1 more. Inhale, sweep the space around you. Exhale, dive in. Inhale, lengthen your heart forward. Float or step back as you exhale to lower. Floating the heart up as you breathe in. Drawing the hips up as you breathe out. We'll meet in downward facing dog. This time, bring your feet together, touch, and inhale, raise the right leg behind you. As you exhale, bend the knee, turn open at the hip, and either hold still, splaying the thighs apart, or begin to rotate the right leg, or flip it over into tripod back bend. If you're not injured in the shoulders and you feel stable in the muscles of your torso, your core. Turning the right outer hip down in 3-legged downward dog. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, tap the right knee outside, right upper arm, stay in plank. You could set the left knee down. Inhale, tap the left outer upper arm, stay in plank. Exhale, bend knee to nose. Step the foot forward right between the hands for warrior 2. Spinning the back heel down, align right heel to arch of left foot and windmill the arms. Steady your gaze or close your eyes and direct your mind's eye right at the center of your forehead. We've got 5 more breaths. Be still. On your next exhalation, cartwheel your hands to the ground, optional vinyasa or cat-cow. Let's meet in downward facing dog. Bringing your feet together to touch to start. Then inhale, raise the leg. Exhale, bend the knee, turn open at the hip. Either stay still, rotate the left leg, or flip it over. Meeting in three-legged downward dog, straighten the left leg back with hips squared and breathe in. Exhale, forward to plank, tapping left knee outside left upper arm. Stay in plank. You could lower the right knee to the ground for more support. Inhale, cross left knee to right, tricep twisting at the waist. Exhale, bend knee to nose. Step the foot right between the hands and spin the right heel down. Align your left heel to arch of your right foot and windmill the arms right into warrior two. I'm not verbally spending much time on the alignment. I want you to feel it more intuitively, because I know that everybody that's taking the class live right now has practiced warrior two many a times. So just breathe and tune in. On your exhalation, this time, we're going to land in a forward fold at the top of your mat. So lower your hands to frame your left foot and step the right foot between the hands. Let your feet touch. Inhale, lengthen into half forward fold. Exhale, fold again. Shift the arms, rise leading with a heart. Exhale from forehead to heart center. Surya Namaskar B, traditional-ish way. So here we go. We're gonna flow right into it, so listen carefully. Bend the knees together and inhale, sit into chair. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Float to chaturanga or step to plank and lower. Inhale, cobra or upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Spin out the left foot where it is. Step the right foot inside of right hand. Warrior one. Inhale, rise completely. Exhale, lower from plank into your vinyasa of choice. If you need rest, skip the vinyasa. Go straight to downward dog. Follow your breath. When arriving in down dog, spin out the right foot where it is. Step the left foot inside of left hand. Inhale, rise into warrior one. Exhale, lower into your choice of flow or no flow. We'll meet in downward facing dog. 3 to 5 breaths there. Physical, tuning in. Knees to prepare to land forward. Bottom of the exhale, walker floats. Feet touch. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold. With knees touching, inhale, sit low in chair pose. Now, slowly begin to lower your pelvis to sit on the mat, lifting the legs in boat pose. Lift from the base of your spine to your crown, broadening the chest. Remember, knees could be bent to modify. Hands could be holding the legs or the ground. And you could step one foot down if you need an alternate. 7 more breaths. Inhale, steady your gaze. Maybe the eyes are closed. Exhale, 7. Inhale, feel your solar plexus, willpower. Exhale, 6. Inhale, broaden the chest. Heart power. Exhale, 5. Inhale, open the throat, feel clarity. Exhale, 4. Inhale, gaze towards third eye center. Exhale, 3. Inhale, lift through your crown. Exhale, 2. Now find something you can relax. Inhale and exhale. Set the feet down. Begin to catch hold of the backs of your thighs or shins and round your back into a ball. Rocking forward and back a few times where you can massage up and down your back, even the glutes, until you're ready to meet a standing right up at the top of your mat. Nice. Once you are standing here, bring your feet to touch. Bend your elbows apart, setting up for eagle pose. Crossing left elbow over right, hook your thumbs or wrap your forearms in palms. Then press your shoulder blades down your back ribs while lifting your elbows to the height of your shoulders. Gently press the forearms away from your face. Feel the protraction of your shoulder blades. Now firm the belly right below the belly button and bend your knees together in chair, sinking your weight towards the heels. Now that our left arm is on top, turn out your right leg for the full eagle pose. Flex the right foot and wrap the right leg over the left. You might choose to also tuck the right toes behind left calf. If you sit a little lower and make sure your hips are squared forward, you can help your balance to steady even more. Now steady your gaze, hear your breathing, and feel stability with the support of the earth beneath your foot. I'd like to invite you to visualize your own body before moving. We'll unravel the right leg, passing through Warrior 3, where 2 hips are leveled as you look at the ground below ahead. Taking flight to land in Warrior 2, which we've already practiced. So take your time. You could keep the arms bound, which makes it more challenging, or you could join your hands together at your heart or reach for the floor beneath you in more support. So as you unravel the right leg straight behind and lean the torso forward, flex the right foot, energize the muscles in the leg, the center. Steady your gaze on the ground ahead. You could open the arms like wings if you like. Lots of flying here. You could extend the arms forward if you want to stoke the fire a bit more. And you decide when you want to bend the left knee and step the right foot as lightly as you can, windmilling the arms apart to land in Warrior 2. Wonderful. And once there, keep this wide stance and straighten your front leg. Pivot both feet to face the wide width of your mat so they're parallel to each other. Bring your hands behind you to clasp or hug or hold a strap between the hands. And then bend your elbows closer together as you lift and broaden your chest, opening your throat. Take a deep breath. Hinging from your hips, exhale to fold and try to elongate your spine. If the back starts to round, you could bend the knees. Shift a little more weight forward towards the balls of your feet, trying to align your ankles with your hips. As you let your head completely be heavy, you might even test out that you're completely relaxing the neck. Some gentle movements of the skull. For about 3 or 4 more breaths, keep reaching the arms forward and away from your lower back, opening the front of your shoulders as you bend the elbows to lift the shoulders while dropping the head, creating as much feeling of freedom and space in your neck. Prasarita Padottanasana C, the hand clasp version of this inversion. 1 more breath. Now begin to lower your fingertips on the floor or on props. Crawl the hands forward and lift your spine parallel to the floor. With a breath in, press your heart through the gates of your arms, lengthening your neck. Place one hand down just beneath your heart and raise the opposite arm up, keeping your 2 hips balanced. Twist at your waistline towards the lifted arm. Use your lifted palm as it faces that side of the room to broaden your upper collarbone, the one closer to the sky. 2 more breaths. Keep lengthening from the base of your spine out through the crown of your head. firming your outer hips still as much as you can. So you're trying to isolate the twist at your waistline. With an exhalation, lower the top hand and switch the other arm to the sky. Breathe in and elongate through the center line of your torso. Breathe out, twist across your waistline, broadening the chest, the part that's facing the sky mostly. One more deep breath. As you lower both hands, walk them towards the front of your mat and pivot to face the front in a lunge. Inhale in your lunge, gaze forward. Exhale, step forward, let your feet touch, forward folds. Inhale, sweep your arms, gazing up towards the sun. Exhale to your heart center. All right, let's begin by bending the elbows apart again, and this time crossing the right elbow over the left. Hook your thumbs or wrap your forearms in palms. Slide your shoulder blades down your back ribs and lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders. Pressing your forearms away from your face, protract the shoulder blades. Firm the lower belly in and bend your knees together to touch in chair pose. Sit as low as you can here, it will help. Then flexing the left foot, turn out your left leg and wrap it over the right. You might be able to tuck the left toes behind the calf, in which you'll need to scissor the left hip back. Maybe sit a little lower, steady your gaze, and tune into your breath. Eagle pose, symbol of vision. And higher perspective. So in your mental bird's eye view, visualize your body before moving, flexing the left toes towards the ground as you level the hips in Warrior 3, horizontal line, parallel to the floor, before windmilling the arms to land Warrior 2. It's your own pace. So take it as slow and steadily as you can. You could unwind the arms, you can keep them in eagle. You could lower the hands to the floor on blocks. Vary it as you need, as you tune into your own inner wisdom. I'll meet you in Virabhadrasana 2, landing for a few breaths. And now once you're there, straighten the right leg and parallel the feet to face the wide width of your mat again. This time, bring your hands to your hips. Draw the shoulders back and down and breathe with the chest and throat. Breathe out, hinging from your hips. Stay strong in your quadriceps. Think of lifting the kneecaps. You might also, excuse me, bend your knees. Now place your hands on the ground, and if they don't meet the ground, adjust your legs. You might bend the knees more. You might step the feet wider apart. Come up halfway like we did earlier in the effort of elongating the spine, especially your neck. Now broaden the shoulder blades, broaden the chest. Plant your hands flat and begin to walk them back. Perhaps they line up with your toes. Keep the arms parallel and rotate the triceps towards the wall you're looking at upside down, just like you would in downward dog. Walk the hands further back if you can. Maybe they pass the heels. Maybe you're able to plant the very, very crown of your head on the floor where you could feel that you have space in your throat and a natural curve in your neck. If you're able to bend the elbows 90 degrees, just like Chaturanga Dandasana, see that they're stacking right above your wrists and your arms are parallel. Thus, you create a shelf that's pretty stable out of your upper arms. You have a triangular base from the top of your head and your two hands. Some of you might start to engage the belly like we did in boat pose and begin to place your knees onto your upper arms, letting the feet touch almost like crow. Make sure that your hands are pushing the floor so much that you feel light in the head, not as much weight on the head as you have on your hands. Neck is spacious, and still feels free, just like the breath. You might also hug the knees together, lifting them off your upper arms and beginning to unfold the legs vertically to stack ankles over hips, over shoulders, into tripod headstand. Whatever inversion you're choosing, let's take about 3 or more breaths. It helps to point or flex your feet and bring them together to touch if you are in the headstand. Just moments of upside down help to see things literally from another perspective, but also to just shift energetically how you might be feeling, your mood. So to come down, you could either restack the knees on the upper arms first or splay the legs apart very slowly, tilting the pelvis, setting the feet down with control. And then let's all come up halfway. Breathe in and press your heart forward. Bend the knees as you breathe out. Place your hands on your hips. Lead with your chest and inhale to rise up. Let's step up to the top of your mat. With the feet touching, inhale, raise the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, please step to all fours. We're gonna give the wrists a stretch. So as you're on hands and knees, put a little more weight on your legs so that you can make fists out of your hands. Gently press your fists against each other and gently lean the backs of your fists on the ground. Then from here, you can glide forward slowly to find just the right amount of intensity to feel that stretch in your outer wrists and forearms. Taking notice of keeping the neck and face, especially the jaw, relaxed. The elbows are splaying, bent off the floor. Let's take about 3 more breaths. Keep a slight lift in the belly so as not to cause any strain in the lower back. Lengthen the sides of the neck, keeping the shoulders free from it. Then lean back onto your legs and shake out the shoulders, roll out the head, whatever kind of organic movement feels good. Deep breaths. All right, our next inversion is dolphin. So placing your elbows on the ground exactly your shoulders width apart. You can choose to either plant the palms flat so your forearms are parallel, or interlace your fingers. I like to create a little snail out of the pinky fingers so you don't squish one. You decide. And then you root down with the forearms, tuck the toes and lift the pelvis. Now remember, you're balancing on your forearms, not your head. So the head is either hanging freely or you're actively looking past your fists. And if you can, walk the feet closer to your elbows while keeping the shoulders directly on top of the elbows or slightly behind the elbows, but not hovering forward. You want to press your chest towards your shins, perhaps even lift a leg and try to keep the hips squared while flexing the lifted foot. And if you do so on one side, spend the same amount of breaths on the second side to stay balanced. When you feel that you're ready to rest, we'll meet in child's pose. Making sure in dolphin you create as much space and freedom in your neck as you possibly can feel. When you do land in child's pose, prepare for one more dolphin. Just take 3 breaths and you might turn your head to one side to softly stretch your neck. And then the other side to softly stretch the other side of your neck. And then on your own, whether you practice dolphin again, or perhaps you practice the other form of headstand. It's almost the same setup as dolphin, elbows, shoulders width apart, but the inner palm is a webbing in which the back of your skull lightly rests against as the very tip of the top of your head lightly meets the ground. Most of your weight is your forearms pushing off the floor as you create space and freedom in the neck. So while it's called a headstand, this in Sanskrit is called Shirsasana, much of your weight is being pressed down on the floor through the forearms and the elbows. So that you can even lift the skull if you needed to and slide a sheet of paper underneath, in between your head and the floor. And again, the legs are together, you're hugging your midline, even through the hips and the feet, and you're flexing the feet or flointing. Imagine a hand grabbing your ankles from the sky, pulling you up, and a tailbone too, pulling it up. Your higher self pulling you up. And then when you decide to land from dolphin pose or from headstand, again, let's meet in child's pose for a few deep breaths. So we're going to prepare for single pigeon pose. If you'd like to practice it lying down, which is also called thread the needle, it's where you cross, we'll start with the right hip, the right ankle over the left thigh with the right foot flex. You could take that version instead and do the same for side two. Otherwise, the upright version, let's begin either in downward dog or hands and knees. From there, raise the right leg behind you and turn out your right leg. Bending the knee, slide your right shin across your mat in front of your pelvis. Then slide your left leg straight behind you and tuck your left toes just as we're setting up. Placing your hands alongside your hips, lift your pelvis off the floor so that you could scissor your right hip further back and bring your left hip forward. Then if there's a space between the ground and your right glute, you can place something there like a pillow or a block to keep the alignment of your pelvis squared. If you're able to cross the right shin parallel to the front edge of your mat, make sure to flex your right foot to stabilize your knee. Then from here, you could stay upright, you could rest forward, you could add a heart opening, backstroking the left arm behind and catching hold of the left ankle or foot, making sure not to compress the lower back, so you're thinking of lifting the frontal hip bones, energetically squeezing the thighs together, especially if you decide to raise the right arm too, and maybe clasp the hands overhead. If you're folding forward, resting the torso on the ground, you might also add a twist. If you feel like it's appropriate, the twist involves bending the right elbow towards the sky, crawling the right fingertips towards the upper right corner of your mat, then sliding the left arm with palm face up under your right bent elbow so that you could rest the left side of your head all the way down. And if it doesn't meet the ground, place something under your head. Whatever version of this hip opening single pigeon pose, let's take 5 more deep breaths to listen in. If you're lying on your back, take some movement before you take side 2, lying down as well, like circling the legs. Otherwise, begin to press up back to your hands, knees, or downward dog. And go ahead and move that right leg around gently from the hip socket, massaging into the hip joint you're opening, inviting blood flow into it. Then we'll set up for side 2. If you're doing the upright version, lift the left leg behind, turn out the thigh at the hip, and slide the left shin in front of your pelvis across your mat on the floor. Straighten the right leg behind you, tucking the toes to begin, and place your hands alongside your hips. Lift your pelvis off the ground and scissor your left hip back, your right hip forward. Perhaps you place something under your left glute. Then relax the back toes. If your left shin parallels the front edge of your mat, make sure to flex your left foot to support your knee. You could decide to bow forward, in which you might add the twist, or to create the back bend, remember from right under the shoulder blades, you could backstroke the right arm, bend the right knee, making sure you're not putting weight on the kneecap, so the weight is on the thigh. And then you might also lift the left arm by squeezing the thighs energetically towards each other to find a lift of the pelvic floor. You might even clasp the hands overhead, making sure not to compress the lower back by lifting the back ribs and anchoring the tailbone down. If you're in the twist, the right arm is threading underneath the left bent elbow, and you're resting the right side of your head on the floor or on a prop. Let's listen in for 5 more breaths in your version of this pose. Carefully start to shift out of it. If you're on your back, you might like to splay the legs apart, supine frog or happy baby. If you're upright, step back to all fours or downward dog and give your left leg some movement again at the hip. Let's come down to our backs for 1 round of bridge pose, setting the feet apart on the floor, hips distance, parallel, with the knees bent. Arms reaching down by your sides. Locate your feet, have them just close enough where you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not, just almost. Then grounding your feet and shoulders, lift the pelvis up and lengthen your thighs and tailbone forward, paralleling the thighs. Give yourself 5 to 10 deep breaths, expanding your lungs, broadening your heart space, and opening your throat. You might interlace the fingers as long as you can keep the arms straight. When you decide, use an exhalation to kiss the earth 1 vertebra at a time, lowering your pelvis last. Once your pelvis meets the floor, gently windshield wiper your shins left and right a few times, massaging your sacrum and glutes against the ground. Breathe in through your nose and fill up your belly. Take a nice loud sigh through your mouth. Couple more rounds. Into the belly, breathe in. Out through the mouth, sigh. Let it feel freeing, releasing, clarity. Now turn all the way over to one side and let's come up to sit, extending left leg forward. Bend the right knee and turn out the right leg so that you seal your right foot high on your inner left thigh, preparing for Janu Shirshasana, head to knee pose. Flex the left foot. You might have a strap against the ball of it that you're holding with 2 hands, or place your hands to frame your left leg. Sit up tall either way, slightly firm the belly, broaden your chest, and mindfully open your throat. Then like there's a string pulling your sternum past your left pinky toe. Elongate from your lower spine and fold with each exhale. A slight lift of the heart as you slide the shoulder blades down the back. They're very slightly retracting here, coming together, help broaden the chest. Listen to 2 more cycles of breath, bowing in to yourself. Remember that imaginary string pulling your sternum. Envision it lifting your chest forward and up, and then the rest of the spine follows. Slide your right leg straight, turn out your left leg and hug the sole of your left foot high on your inner right thigh. Flex the right foot, whether holding a strap or hands on the ground. Lift the heart space, open your throat, and plug the pelvis down as you hinge forward, breath by breath. Bowing in. It's interesting how many times we bow within the practice of yoga, asana. What does the physical bowing, the gesture itself, feel like energetically and emotionally to you? Perhaps it triggers a feeling of reverence, of sacredness, of honoring, respect. So many cultures, like when we had our yoga retreat in Bali, bow to each other and even say the word namaste as a greeting. How beautiful is that? So what are you bowing into besides your leg as we sit here for another breath? What do you honor in your day and your being today that helps you to feel the meaningfulness of life? Leading from the heart, breathe in to rise. So take your choice of either lying on your back and lifting your legs, whether on a prop, in shoulder stand if you don't have any injuries in neck and shoulders and know how to practice it, or just legs up by themselves, or sit down, follow me into another forward fold. Hinging from the hips, flexing the feet, and extending the heart forward for about 5 deep breaths. So the postures in yoga that are forward folds like this are known to invite introspection. Literally, we're turning our attention inward as we fold our body in half. Perhaps you close your eyes and just feel into what's come of this practice today. Anything surface for you to notice? If you're folding forward, begin to lead with the chest again, rising as you breathe in. Let's all find our way into a comfortable, resting stillness. Shavasana. Lying another minute in Shavasana with eyes closed. Feel the physical effects of your asana practice. Notice the quality of your breathing, the state of your mind. This posture itself, this readiness to be still and surrender effort, and just let our bodies and minds and breaths be free. Connects us to our true nature, that of effortless vitality, calm, peace. So exiting this physical posture, take your time, be mindful with any kind of movement that allows you to feel gentle in the transition of lifting your body up. Take your own route, and we'll eventually meet sitting down. Still containing that feeling of serenity or whatever you touched upon in Shavasana, let's sit for just 1 minute, allowing pure stillness, a commitment to just watch the mind without having to entangle or follow its stories. Just observe, be a witness of it. 1 minute. Allow the breath in to feel a rise in your chest. Exhaling through the mouth as you join your palms to meet at the heart. May we all continue to practice ways to connect to our inner knowing and really trust the clarity from within. Let's close with one chant of Om. Take a deep breath in. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.